Roll call?
Mr. Ricardo?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Condit?
Here.
Mr. Molina,
Here.
Mr. Solston?
Here.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes, here. Approval of meeting minutes for November 24th, 2016. Move to approve.
Second?
Roll call on approval of minutes.
Mr. Solston?
Yes.
Mr. Ricardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina.
Yes. Amendments to the agenda.
Yes, I have one, resolution number 94, 2015, a resolution to accept the insurance program with Dawson Companies through the Ohio Municipal Joint Self-Insurance Pool for property and casualty insurance coverage and declaring an emergency.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Ricardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Solston?
Yes.
And I also would like to add an executive session to discuss personnel and potential litigation. We could do that after legislation is discussed.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Solston?
Yes.
Mr. Ricardo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Going to reports, Mayor?
Really don't have much as we wind down the year. I would like to touch base real quick on the insurance program that we need to try to get past tonight. They're gonna save us roughly $7,000 a year, insurance-wise. And they are going to lower our deduction to $2,000 instead of $2,500. Right, did I get it all right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I can't hear your brains rattle, girl. I need a yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, so that's why that is tonight. And the other one just our current, and the carrier just gave us back their numbers. Did they even give us our numbers?
No.
They didn't give us numbers back. It was kind of a no-brainer. So, since we have a rather lengthy agenda, just move on.
Mr. Carpenter?
I don't have anything new to report, but I would say with regard to the proposal for the insurance that you send a copy of it out to the department heads so they can assure that the vehicles are correct on there. I don't know if provided that list, but it's a lengthy list. So I would just send it out to them so they can take a look at it, make sure the information on there is correct. Same with the real estate.
Thank you. Chief?
Harrington A, there were soft bakes in the soil, so we could not stabilize. The engineers come up with a new pavement design using stone and geogrid. We proof rolled it, it was a little soft. We're going to proof roll it again tomorrow to see if we'll move forward. We'll discuss with them again of repaving a 6, which has not been done. He, with the weather as it is, he possibly could get it done, so we'll push to see if we can get him in there.
So you're gonna do similar like what you did on Windjammer then?
Do what?
Okay. Same as what you did on Windjammer where the sulfate was real high?
Yes, yeah. You almost have to stabilize twice, so the
Right.
price becomes very prohibitive if you have to stabilize. So certain soils and the testing came up, so they were stuck. Nothing else we could do. California Street, obviously we're moving forward, finalizing the plan. We want to get out early because bidding is usually best in January. We got, what, 650 almost? And we're dealing with Aurora. They're willing to come up with 300,000, so we will be able to totally redo that. And included with California is a major storm improvements that will redirect a lot of water over to the lake. So we are holding back on the Nautilus Trail retention basin and everything because we feel we can get a tremendous amount of water leaving a lot of the downstream systems there. And that's it.
Thank you, Gene. Rec Center?
Right now, as you can see, they're pretty busy up there. I know the chief's been up there a while, keeping an eye on things for us. We're also going to start interviewing for the directors early next week. large number of people who applied, and we are in the process of screening that down to a reasonable number. So we're looking forward to that. So things are moving along.
Thank you, Will. Deborah?
Would you like me to discuss any budget items? Or do you want me to wait till anyone asks any questions? Just the budget is,
You could discuss if there's something,
Something that's pertinent.
well, I wanted to make sure council was aware that the money we were initially talking about, the village advanced for the rec center, that money was returned, in the first pay act to the village. And then, there was an advance for Cleveland Water, that we just received the check this week. So we're in good shape in terms of, getting that money returned. There were a couple changes to the budget since the last time council reviewed it. It is available on box. Really nothing significant other than I updated the revenues for the year. And happy to report that all of the major funds, the general fund, we've received 93% of what we projected, which is pretty close. The street fund, 99%, fire income tax, 115%, and the JED fund, 113%. So we were over in actually 4 funds, EMS fund, road levy, JED, and fire income tax. And the other 2 we were pretty close. And the expenditures are actually relatively low, which is what accounts for that difference, if you recall, in the revenue budget, the option B that was in
That
yellow.
was gonna be my question.
That's what accounts for the difference, because we received more revenue and the expenditures are lower than what was appropriated. So we'll end up much closer to that option B,
The better option.
correct?
this is a good thing.
Who really oversaid the
So that's all I have, unless anyone has questions. There is a new ordinance, that I request is passed by emergency, especially in case this is the last meeting of the year, so that those bills can be paid. That's all I have, unless anyone has a question.
Anybody else? Thank you, Deborah.
Mhm.
Chief Buck?
No report.
Chief Plunkett? No report. Architectural Board of Review?
No report.
Planning and Zoning? No report. Board of Zoning Appeals? No appeals. Finance?
Finance met today for the final time in 2015. We recommended payments in the amount of $292,781.23. Just under 200,000 of that was the Regatta Windjammer Pay App number 8. So our next meeting will be, I think, the 12th of January, 2016. That is it.
Thank you, Tom. Cable, no report. Communications?
Communications met last Tuesday, the 1st. Discussed primarily the village app, and I talked to Sam a little bit about it. I talked to the one that was more expensive. If you guys remember back, there's kind of the Yugo Cadillac analogy. Well, we'd like to move forward with the Cadillac. I was able to get them to drop the price by about $5,000, and hoping to get that down even lower. And they also were willing to basically spread the cost over 3 years, as opposed to a huge upfront, to basically lock us in for 3 years. So, need to kind of come out with the final numbers and get the final terms, but that's who Communications, and hopefully we'd like to see kind of move forward with the village app, so. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We'll meet again, Tuesday, the 5th of January. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Long-term community development, no report. Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec, I'd like to say that luminosity event went nicely. We had nice weather, and if you ask me, the 2 coolest things were our 3D glasses and the Ohio burn unit. So, I thought it went well, and I wanna thank the volunteers that were there. couple in this room, they were a big help. Santa deliveries is Saturday at 1 o'clock until we are finished, and so far the weather looks good.
So do you think it was better to do luminosity than doing what we did with the?
The worst part is, I mean, you can't compare the two events, theirs is huge, and doing it the same night. I think it went over pretty well.
Did it seem well attended from Reminderville? Did it seem well attended? Did it seem well attended by Reminderville
Oh, yeah.
residents?
Well, a couple people came up to me, in fact, we had rec center questions, and,
I was a little disappointed, I don't think I saw a lot of Reminderville people there. But I think next year we just have to work harder and get the word out.
From your point, do you want something really small and quaint, or do you want something?
Yeah.
Because Caitlin raved about it, she said it was great, but she also said she didn't see a lot of people from Reminderville.
This is a nice thing they have down there, it's nice to do.
That's the first year, so I think we'll get a lot more people next year.
Okay. Alright.
and we were thinking of maybe some kind of different event, not tree lighting versus tree lighting, some other kind of Christmas event, or holiday event, excuse me.
Breakfast with Santa at the rec center.
There you go. There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's not competing,
Right.
Open house or whatever.
Mr. Condit also, I talked to the assistant chief, and he said that he would like everybody that's involved, all the parties that's involved, for the delivery in the quarters by 12:15. And he wants to step off at 12:45, so that they're actually at the first home before, or just before 1 o'clock,
Yeah, we have,
because of the volume of stuff.
at least 40 additional stops as we did last
You
year.
have more than 40, buddy.
More than 40?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah, people
actually
dropping
6,
stuff off.
5 or 6 more that just walked in the building, so.
Okay, so a couple guys are gonna have a long day, a lot of people are gonna have a long day, so let's get started early.
Yeah, did we find out where the Klein family lives?
They did.
They did?
Mhm.
Okay. I was a little worried there.
Yeah, Chad talked to him on the phone, and he got that all squared away.
Good, perfect.
So, you together on that, chief? Getting started good and early? I'm done.
He's smiling.
We're not gonna be able to start much earlier than that, we've got another event, we're running 7 AM to noon. So,
Do the best we can.
alright, 12:15 I think we can do, but cars are gonna be coming out of Akron, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Records,
No,
seniors,
Seniors had their last event today at the Heritage Hall, would you call it a Christmas brunch or get together? There was at least 25 people there, and I heard it was a very nice time.
Jed met last Tuesday, December 1st, at Twinsburg Township Hall. We basically talked about how we're gonna evaluate our Jed administrator, and we elected our officers for next year, and our next meeting will be in March.
Who's the officers?
I am chairman,
I wasn't elected?
you weren't elected, you said communications was more important than the Jed. So I'm the chairman, I don't remember who.
Jim is.
Jim is vice, and who's the treasurer, secretary? Was that you?
That's me,
That's
yeah.
you.
What'd you say about Vice and Jim?
Jim was the, yeah, right, he's the vice chair.
You two just keep flip-flopping, huh?
We've been flip-flopping for 8 years,
This was
basically.
my shot, but I missed it.
I know, it's gonna be on my tombstone. Thank you, Tom.
all right, table legislation, before I move on, Mark, can you give a synopsis of your proposal?
Yeah, synopsis.
Or, I mean, it's so brief to me.
Yeah, and I don't wanna get into the weeds, I would, when I was telling Sam this, I would highly recommend looking at moving to Epiphany. I've worked with them for years in the education space. Well, contractually, I talked to Paul, he's not extremely thrilled with their contract, and we can work on that, but, I think we should start laying the groundwork to potentially move over to them, for a couple of reasons. One, and I think I may have mentioned this before, Area 51 has two really contracts with us currently. One's a managed hardware contract, which in essence, they take care of, or they give us new hardware every 3 years. Well, I don't think that's necessary, our hardware will last well beyond that. So they wanna replace that again, I think that's like $7,000, so we can get rid of that right away. And then the contract, the managed services contract, this Epiphany would probably save us about $2,000 a year, about 15 versus 17 for services. And with my relationship, I think I'd feel better about being able to hold them, to kind of a higher standard. You know, than, I mean, I don't know anyone from Area 51 from Adam, so. I don't know if that helps, or if you have any questions, but, I mean, they're gonna manage all of our hardware, all of our technology, servers, all the desktops around the village. They would also work on these if need be, this would be part of the contract, our laptops. But just basically make sure everything's up and running, they would. Chief Plunkett had a really good example, and I think would be helpful. They'll also kind of help bridge the gap between our police and fire departments and some of the technology vendors that they have issues with. So your example, I gave that to them, they're like, yeah, we do that all the time. We'll get on the phone with you, we'll talk to tech, you'll, you know, and you guys will figure it out together, so.
What does the firehouse, the software you
Yeah,
have though?
firehouse, so.
Is there an issue with that?
There is, I mean, it's very complex and it's mandated by the state.
But is it an issue, you developed your own with Area 51, right?
Well, that's even an additional software program, that's for our apparatus inventories and all that.
Okay, so is it something you're allowed to take to the company that he's talking
You own
about?
Yeah,
You own it, or do you own it with Area 51?
I don't own it at all. They own it.
Area 51 owns it.
Area 51 owns it, I just help them develop it. The firehouse software is a state mandated program that they gave us, and we have to use that to report.
Everybody has that.
Yeah, everybody has that.
Everybody has it.
So, the Area 50, or the one you're talking about, the individual one for the equipment checks, no, that's proprietary to them.
Okay.
We might have to figure that out.
Right. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy to sell it to us, but I got my own reservations about that. For obvious reasons.
Maybe they developed one for you,
Thanks, Mark.
and this time own it.
But if people think, I mean, we can get rid of the managed hardware contract regardless, and if you know, if the chiefs think, hey, you know, cause I know Chief Buck has some reservations, you know, I've broken them over the course of a couple of years, and, you know, if others don't feel that way, then that's fine. You know, so I was trying to have kind of a separate conversation with them to see how they feel about potentially moving as well.
All right, thank you.
So, I don't know if we can take it off the table just yet,
Yeah, we'll leave it on.
but soon.
Yep, all right. All right, ordinance 28, 2015, ordinance to adopt the appropriation of funds for fiscal year 2016, third reading. Ordinance 29, 2015, an ordinance to increase the annual salary of the village fiscal officer to $49,013.58 effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 30, 2015, an ordinance to increase the annual salary of the village administrative assistant clerk of council to $39,655 effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 31, 2015, an ordinance to increase the annual salary of the village supervisor of public service to $27,371.22 effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 32, 2015, an ordinance to increase the hourly rate of the service department employees effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 33, 2015, an ordinance to amend the salary provisions of police department personnel effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 34, 2015, an ordinance to amend the salary provisions of the fire department personnel effective January 3rd, 2016, third reading. Ordinance 35, 2015, an emergency ordinance to make appropriation adjustments for the 2015 village budget, first reading.
Discussion? Chief Buck, The way the appropriations are written in this legislation, the sick time that we've discussed, that is coming out of the JED fund, and the extra appropriation request is coming out of the general fund. I'm wondering why that is. The appropriation status for the police department at this time, as of yesterday, not including the wage, all the wage lines, you have $116,000 left. So I'm wondering why we can't take it from those appropriations, instead of taking it out of JED and general fund.
The short answer to that is that you told me when I'm short in a line item that I can always come back to you guys and ask you for more money. And at the end of the year, when we had budget discussions, you were saying you're over in this category, you're over in that category, let's take it from there. So I'm trying to keep the individual line items in my budget to what they should be, to not take money from office equipment and put it into personnel services.
Yes, we did say that if you needed the money, you could come to us, but you don't need the money, you have the money.
Well,
It's just, I mean, if you don't need it in office supplies, then you don't need it in office supplies.
It's a catch-22, the way you guys look at the budget is if I'm over in this particular area or over in that particular area, that it's gonna get cut. So if I take it from this particular area, how do I replace that next year? So the whole idea, I thought, over the last couple of years was to keep the individual line items at what they're expected to be, what the projections are. Because we didn't have a lot of repairs in vehicles this year, should I take the money from there?
I mean, I agree with what Chief's saying. Maybe it's one of those things where he's asking, and then we say, well, then go ahead and take it out from another line. Like, at least letting us know maybe is a compromise here, right?
Well, that's why we're asking. That's why I'm asking.
No, but I think Chief Buck's right. We were pretty specific. When he's asking for $20,000 in a budget, and he only spent, 75% of it, we might cut that. Or vice versa, so.
That's true, we might.
And,
But if he's not using it, he's not using it.
right.
So that,
But you want him to take it from another line item, move it.
that he's not using, correct.
So.
And I see your point, I know what you're saying, based on how
I'm only
how
going
I
by what
approached
you
it this
said.
year. Based on how I approached it this year, I understand that. But I in good conscience can't, approve it coming out of JED fund and,
That makes no sense to me, Tom, because you're gonna approve it out of whatever you approve it out of tonight. We're not gonna do any POs, any significant POs or requisitions after the end of the week.
correct.
And so that money's gonna go back into the general fund. So your school of thinking was you wanna keep me to each individual line item and keep that more accurate. Yet 4 days before it ends, you want me to take it out somewhere else,
You're gonna turn it back in anyway.
right?
So then why give it to you in the first place?
Because of what you told me how you wanted the budget to run.
Because next year you may need it.
Next year.
However you wanna do it. I can do it either way, it's not a big deal to me one way or the other. I'm just going by what you told me you wanted to do.
So would you like to change it and say, we need to move funds?
That's how I would like to do it. Paul, okay, so let me ask this. Since all the appropriations are on one piece of legislation, could it make a motion to, obviously in the next meeting, to pass that, but take those two appropriations out? And then we could all vote on that, or what's the easiest way, since it's all in one legislation,
Why don't
all.
you take those appropriations out today?
What's that?
Why not take the appropriations out now?
Well, that's what I mean, when we go to pass that legislation, because it's all,
Sure,
okay,
you can take those out right now.
okay. That's all, I just wanted to make sure how,
It doesn't have to be a part of that piece of legislation.
that's how I'm gonna make the motion. What if some people want to keep it in there?
Well, you're gonna make a motion with it in or out. If
Okay.
people don't want it, if you,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
make a motion with them out, and people don't want them out,
Okay.
we'll vote appropriately, it will either pass or it won't pass.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion when it comes up to pass that minus those two items to take those out.
And then we would vote on those two items when?
We wouldn't,
Never.
because they're already appropriated in his budget.
And in essence,
It would just,
Just move the
But-
funds.
but in essence, you're saying, thank you for letting us know, now take it out as another line item after we told you not to do that.
That's not what I know how he's taking it, but that is not how I said it, and how we said it. We said we would, if he needed more money,
Come back.
he could come back to us, but he doesn't need more money. He has the money. He's saying he doesn't because,
I get it, I get it.
so, it's
just saying,
semantics, it's
It's
semantics.
semantics.
He's taking it the way he wants to take it to benefit him, and I'm doing it to benefit me.
At the end of the day.
I'm not doing it to benefit me, I'm doing it to
Well, yeah,
benefit.
because you're
I'm doing
hoping,
it the
you wanna
way,
keep it high so we don't.
that's not true, Tom, I'm doing it exactly the way you told me to do it 3 weeks ago.
Nah, that's-
You said if I had an excess amount of money in one line item, that you thought you should cut that. And if I didn't have an excess amount of money in one line item, and I needed more, to come back and tell you. Here I am coming back to tell
That's
you.
not exactly how it was said.
Regardless of how you wanna cut it, that line item's gonna be short now, and it's gonna be short next year, because we hired that guy in July.
That's fine, that's different though. I don't see how that's,
It is without.
You told me you wanted an accurate assessment of each line item, so that's why I came back with this.
It is a matter of semantics, in the fact that either way, you're gonna get back, what is it, $100,000?
no, it's 70 days. He's asking for today.
If it was today, it'd be $119,612.
Oh, in total, correct.
Okay. So whether he gets it through general fund or transfer tonight, or whether he gives it back to you at the end of the year from office supplies or whatever it may be. It's just a matter of semantics, so however you wish to make it clean as possible. Okay, and going back, if I hear everything correctly, what he's saying is, this is not what we told him. We told him to keep office supply, blah, 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 X amount of dollars, X amount of dollars, so that he has it there. But now we're gonna take it away. Cause we have extra. Is that correct?
Correct in the fact that, yes, I wanna take it away and put it to
Yeah.
someplace else where he needs it.
Alright.
And ultimately, the.
So either way, it's still gonna come up $119,000 short, whether you get it from his office supplies, for lack of better,
Yeah, without
Line
paying it
item.
all. Right.
or whether you get it from general fund and he pays it back through his carryover at the end of the year. So it's just, I guess it's just a matter of way of how council wants to do it. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
It really doesn't
Bottom line,
affect it.
it ends up with the same number.
Yeah, at the bottom, at the end of it, it's the same thing. So it's what your druthers, that's it. So make a motion the way you want it, so we can move forward and put it to vote.
That's what we were doing.
Okay.
Yep.
Resolution 86, 2015, a resolution to adopt the holiday schedule determined by Mayor Alonso for calendar year 2016, third reading. Resolution 87, 2015, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with First Choice Coffee and Water Service for coffee and other services for the village of Reminderville in an amount not to exceed $2,500 per year, third reading. Resolution 89, 2015, a resolution to hire OHM advisors as village engineer commencing January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2017, third reading. Resolution 90, 2015, a resolution to accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Summit County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the fiscal officer, second reading. Resolution 93, 2015, a resolution authorizing and directing the fiscal office to pay Police Chief Jeff Buck the amount of $35,984.32 to be contributed to his deferred compensation pursuant to the catch-up provision provided by Ohio law in declaring an emergency. First reading. Yeah.
Talk about why it's only 30.
Some of you may know, but the maximum amount that he's allowed to pull out each year is $36,000. Deborah calculated the hours to get it as close to 36 as possible. That's why it's such an odd number. And then next year, sometime during the first quarter, we'll do this again for the second year, and then we'll do it again first quarter of 2017.
So we originally talked about doing the lump sum, but
There's still a significant savings on the backside anyways. Resolution 94, 2015, a resolution to accept the insurance program with Dawson Companies through Ohio Municipal Joint Self-Insurance Pool for property and casualty insurance coverage and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to move to adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel and potential litigation.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Hey, Chief.